Are you struggling with your wedge shots?
Well, if you are, it might not be you and your swing. It might just be down to the bounce and the grind on your wedges that we are going to dive into right now.
Welcome back to the Golfbidder YouTube channel. My name's Beth.
I'm Russ.
We're a couple of golfers and we're here today to dive into a little bit about the bounce and the grind on different wedges. Now, I'm definitely no expert in this. Being still in the beginner category, this stuff kind of blows my mind. And I got given a wedge and was like, this is suited for you, and just assumed there was one type. But obviously, that is definitely not the case.
There are many types, and
Yeah.
I've actually been lucky enough to be part of Team Titleist for a long time, and everyone out there, or if you don't know, Vokey wedges are pretty much the leading wedge for however many years. If you're a golfer or you're moving into golf, at some point you are going to get a Vokey wedge. Now,
SM9,
Vokey,
have we got one?
SM9s, so they kind of go from SM7s to SM10s, and we've got the lot. SM9s especially were the out there leader of their recent. They have now brought out the SM10s.
Why is it the best in the game?
Do you know what?
One of the best in the game.
Again, it just goes down to feel, the way it performs, the spin. There's loads to it, but again, this is also the bounce and the grind. They offer so many various bounce and grinds throughout their wedges.
So it can be suited for kind of everyone.
Can be suited for every golfer, really. And they also offer, so some wedges you'll see, or you might see on YouTube or socials, that wedges that some players on tour are using that you actually can't get. They are specifically grinded down to their specs, the way they want to interact with the turf, the way they chip the ball, the amount of spin they want, the amount of bounce they want. It is just a monster game. So I've made a few little notes that have helped me out in the past when it comes to getting fitted for wedges, the bounce, what's important, what you need to look out for. So I'll just read you through them. So you've basically got the three bounces out there: high, medium, low, which vary. So we've got the high bounce.
Sorry, what is bounce?
So the bounce is the angle between the leaning edge of the club and the lowest point of the sole. So if you can see, we're talking about this part of the wedge.
Okay.
Here. So they do vary, but you'll notice that this kind of edge will be a little bit more sort of out there than this one. Yeah. So it kind of just like the numbers, even though these are the higher bounce like sort of numbers that we have, you will then notice from the lower bounce that this will kind of be sitting a lot flatter than this one. As this wedge we've got here has got 4 bounce on it, which is a wedge that I use. I actually have 4 bounce on my wedge.
So what have these got?
These have 12 and they have 14.
So this is what the numbers on the top say on them.
Numbers on the top, and then they'll have letters,
letters as well,
that we'll go into later on in the video.
Let's go.
But basically, so the high bounce wedges are kind of like 10. You'll notice the numbers, they'll be 10 and above, and they'll basically be designed for softer turf, that you kind of want that club bouncing a little at impact. Because if let's just say you want to try and pick the ball off the turf without kind of making a divot, if you're a shallow hitter, you're going to want no bounce on the club, so you can kind of the way you deliver the club, it will almost just sweep it off.
So is that why you've got low bounce?
That's why I've got low bounce. So I'll probably play more of my golf on courses that have firmer, tighter turf. Sorry, that was the chair. Firmer, I keep moving in this seat. That have firmer, tighter turf. So the way I deliver the ball a bit more on the shallow side, I can generate that spin, I can pick it off the turf the way I want to, and I can kind of manipulate it and come in steeper. I'll change my swing and my impact position for that. But yeah, so that's why I'll use a lower bounce. But they go high to low, which is like high is 10, mid-range is kind of like that 7 to 10 mark, and then the low bounce is like a 4. Some will grind it right down. You'll only really see that on tour, but it'll be 4 to kind of 7. Let me dive into the benefits of each bounce. That kind of will define which bounce you should really look at when you go and get your wedge fitting after seeing this video. Go back to my notes. So for the high bounce wedges, it kind of prevents the club from digging into the turf as much if you're a steeper hitter, because once it hits that turf, the bounce will then kind of knock and the wedge will help you kind of get the ball up in the air.
So you'll find a steeper hitter using a higher bounce number.
Yeah, because if you're a steeper, say hitter, if you're on the steeper side at impact, I should say, then you don't really want that leaning edge digging in because you don't have the bounce. If you've got the bounce there, it will help the leaning edge kind of knock off the turf and get under the ball at a nice kind of divot size, if you want to call it that way. Yeah, so it kind of just adds that extra support a little bit instead of zero bounce, which is kind of what I move to because I'm on the shallower side of things. If you've got that, you're just going to dig straight into the ground. You might think about, if you're playing links golf, moving towards a mid bounce, just because the turf will be a bit firmer. You won't take a bigger divots. So that's why having various wedges in your bag might be a bit more beneficial for you as well. And then obviously the low bounce, you can definitely manipulate your shot types a bit more. I would say I would want you to be a bit more on the confident side with chipping and pitching if you're moving to a lower bounce, especially in the sand. If you've got soft sand, again, that higher bounce will help you, give you a bit more support out of the sand, where that low bounce, you've just got to be so precise.
Okay, so tell us about this S grind.
Okay, so we'll keep the grinds pretty simple and we'll kind of just like make a little checklist for you guys to work on with all the wedges that we've got, because we've got a fair few. So S grind is definitely going to be best for players with a neutral to steep attack angle. Again, like the squarer full shots is something you kind of want to be thinking about if you're looking at an S grind. Typically it will go towards the higher end of the bounce, like mid to high. You'll normally see it in a 10-degree bounce. So if you are opening that club face up and you want to chip around the greens, you will have to be a bit cautious because you're adding a lot of bounce if you're going for an S grind. So yeah, there's a lot to think about when it comes to wedges. I wouldn't say an S grind in a 58 degree is that necessary, just because you got to be really steep with your chipping for it to suit you. But like with full shots, it will be more suited for that if you are a little steeper. But then I would stay away from kind of chipping with it on firmer turf.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's S grind. So we have the M grind.
What other letters do we have going on then, Russ?
Oh, okay. We have the M grind, which is very close to the S grind, actually. It's like, again, it comes with an 8-degree bounce. Great for players who like to manipulate the face when they're chipping, kind of like open and close it. Ideal for firm conditions as the bounce is going down as well. M grind. I actually use an M grind when I've got a bit softer to firm turf. Firmer turf, I'll move into like a T grind, which is sort of like tour grind wedge, which I do believe has come out now. We unfortunately don't have one.
Right, what about a D?
Yeah, so we'll go into what we do have. D grind. So D grind, the higher bounce wedge, a mix of an M grind and an S grind. Great for players who want forgiveness but still like to open the face when they're chipping or hitting pitch shots. It's amazing, isn't it? How many different grinds and wedges and
it's like
options
off
there
the
are.
Alphabet.
So yeah, that's the D grind.
We got K. What's the K?
The K grind. Now I've never actually hit a K grind.
Okay.
But some say it is the ultimate bunker tool.
The ultimate bunker tool.
Ultimate bunker tool.
Well, I need one of these then.
Do you?
I'm quite good at bunkers actually.
Bunkers.
Yeah.
Bunkers.
Bunkers.
Yeah. So that's going to be the highest bounce wedge. Like
Okay,
the
so
K
this
grind.
is like opening it up, proper getting in the sand,
Proper
that
getting
kind
in
of
the
thing.
sand, softer conditions, the
Okay.
soft sand.
You know when you say soft ground, do you mean like, say, winter conditions?
Winter conditions, wetter.
Yeah.
I always struggle.
I've baffled him now.
No, it's not that. It's just I always struggle to talk about or like fully understand how different wet turf is to soft.
Okay.
Because it's not really soft.
Okay. No.
Because like wet is like sticky.
Soppy.
Soppy, sticky.
Okay.
Wet turf.
So that's not what they mean when they say soft turf then.
Soft turf, I would say, is more like spongy underfoot, a little bit longer than.
Obviously has been watered.
Yeah, and if you
but
were
just very well maintained.
I think the best way of defining soft turf, you've got links courses that are tight, firm underfoot.
Yeah.
Then you've got your parkland courses.
Yeah.
Not so firm underfoot.
Okay.
Springy, grass is a little longer, round the greens is a bit thicker and softer. So I would say if you're looking at soft to firm turf and understanding that, I would always look at parkland golf, links golf.
Okay.
If you play more like a links golf, heathland, again, mid, soft, and it's like kind of in the middle. Yeah, that's the best way of, if you play a lot of your golf on links turf, again, lower bounce, lower grinds, like are typically more directed at you.
Your finishing one, your L grind.
L grind. Now, we've got an SM7 L grind, so we're talking about an old wedge here.
This is old.
But class wedge.
Yeah.
So it's got the lowest bounce on any grind wedge you can get.
This is
You've got to be absolutely spot on and precise with your chipping, with picking the ball off. This is links golf wedge here.
Really?
Like firm turf, shallow attack point.
So question for you.
Go for it.
We're currently watching the Masters, enjoying the Masters. Will players change their wedges based on what golf course they're potentially going to play?
100%.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. So
obviously, us as your casual golfers probably don't have that luxury.
Don't have that luxury.
Professionals definitely will.
Yeah, so I think a stat, Padraig Harrington used to change his wedges after 3 tournaments. Yeah. But all players will have wedges. I kind of am lucky enough.
I kind of meant more like if they're playing Augusta versus if they're playing the Open in Scotland.
Just about to say that.
Sorry.
So all players will have different sets of wedges for what tournament they are playing.
Right, okay.
I'd be interested to know what wedge they do choose for Augusta, because I bet the turf is like really tight.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But not firm.
Soft.
Yeah, soft, tight turf. So that's like, again, that goes down to like how they deliver the club. Are they a steeper hitter, shallower hitter? Do they like to manipulate their club face, ball flights? Again, like going into ball flights quickly with the wedges, if you want to try and hit that low to mid to high ball flight, the bounce and the grind is definitely something you want to look at, because it's harder to hit those different ball flights depending on the turf with a real low bounce club or a real high bounce club. So you would definitely look more like mid and then learn how to play those ball flights with the wedge that you've got.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, in the Vokey world, there are so many different grinds, bounces, wedges. Some wedges don't come in the bounce that you might be thinking, or grinds. That's just the way they're designed. It just wouldn't make sense. You do not want to make mistakes when it comes to wedges. Again, like Golfbidder have a ginormous wall of wedges.
They do.
That you can get in there, you can try them out, use their 7-day trial.
Yeah, I mean, even if you go for a fitting, this doesn't mean to say that you can't go to Golfbidder. You can go for your fitting.
If you want Vokeys, we all know how expensive Vokeys are to buy off the shelf. So why wouldn't you go for your fitting, figure out what wedges there are for you, and then go and get them at a fraction of the price? Just makes sense.
Or even take advantage of Golfbidder's 7-day trial period. Take some, test them out, see what you think. If they don't work, test another few out. If they were the best clubs you've ever used in your entire life, get them in the bag.
Yeah, absolutely. Key points, really think about the bounce. I would say that makes more of a difference than the grind. Okay. Personally, just because the bounce will really be affected due to the turf that you play on week in, week out. Again, it might not be down to your chipping or your pitching. It might just be down to the bounce you have on your wedge, making it harder for you to chip the way you want to chip, or you're not quite hitting the turf the way you're thinking you might. So yeah, it might not be your fault. It might be your fault. And if it is, you've got to get some lessons. But if it's not, and you think, oh, do you know what? Maybe this is a thing. Maybe I do need to look at bounce, think about the grind, go and get fitted, get to Golfbidder, try them out.
And also, I'm interested to know what grind and bounce you have on your wedges at the minute, and if you even had any idea what they might have meant. And now you're going to go and check out your wedge and think, what am I even hitting?
But funny game. Shut your eyes.
I'm going to do that.
Shut your eyes. Tell yourself what wedge you've got and go and find out and see if you've got it. I bet you're wrong.
Yeah, it's probably true. Shall I do that now?
Sure.
So I've got a 56.
Yeah.
And I reckon I've got a...
I actually don't know what Beth's got either.
It's probably high bounce.
Okay.
Mid to high.
Shall I pick it out and find out?
Yeah. Does it have a letter on it?
Yeah.
Does it have the letter...
So think about what we just...
S?
Yes, it does.
And is it a 14?
Oh, 12.
12. Okay.
Nice.
That wasn't bad.
Nice. Well
Yeah.
done. See?
Yeah.
You might get it right. Beth got it wrong. But she got 1 point out of 2.
Thanks.
Well done.
Yeah.
That was good.
Thanks.
Mid to high. See, you learned something there.
I did.
Hopefully you guys have learned something too.
Yeah, that was very helpful for me. So thoroughly enjoyed that. Make sure you guys like, comment, you're subscribed to the Golfbidder YouTube channel, and check out Golfbidder on all the other social media platforms, including TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. You know the drill.
Thank you very much for watching. We're a couple of golfers, and we're out.
Bye.